Hi, hello. Hi, I'm Cappy Bro, variety stream Capybara. Today, um, I'm starting stream extremely late, but I was watching Maoshi watch the Phasecon um concerts. So I did not want to miss that because I'm sure that will not get to stay up as a VOD. So, well, we're late here, but so I just came back from Phasecon. That's what I've been doing, and that's where we're gonna start off. But I guess we'll try to get some of these books in first. So Transfig is over here, right? So let's start by just grabbing a stack of books. But yeah, so Phasecon, the con for Le Phase Connect, right? I, for one, honestly did not know what to expect, right? I know there's a lot of people who thought it was going to be like super small, or that there's not going to be much going on, but surprisingly it was a how do you say it? It felt like a jam-packed event. Of course, it was only 2 days, which yo, it's a bar. Hi Vanilla. How are you doing? Hope you're having a happy Cappy day, happy Cappy night wherever you are. I'm just I came back yesterday from Phasecon and now I'm back here. So my history with Phase Connect, none. I felt like such a larper going in. Actually, I do watch one talent often. I watch Himamiya Rie, but only thanks to amazing clipper, low effort clips mostly. I watch some VODs. I listen to her music. I'm chilling before getting out of bed at 6 a.m. All right, 6 a.m. I'm chilling a little late on stream because I was watching Himamiya Rie watch the concerts that happened at Phasecon, and just chilling and relaxing with the Himebitos, her fans, which I am one of. And then we're trying to finish this game, I guess. I have a lot left. What, we're only like halfway through, so there's still a lot to do, but a little like decompressed night, talk about how I felt about that convention, stuff like that. Let's see here. What is this? The Codex of Transfiguration 1? I don't think I have this at all in there. How to minimize vulnerability. Overall, it was a very, very good convention. So I will give it praise there. Where the... Do I have this already? I do. Origins, the Awakening of First Rebel. Origins of Magic. I don't think this goes here. Yeah, this is like a history book. That's my bad. That's my bad. Boom. Humanization and Transformation Guide to Non-Human, Volume 1. The Codex of Transfiguration, Volume 10. Oh, I must already have this somewhere. Codex. I don't see it. Oh, this one. But let's see. I had Friday and Monday off, and so I left at like 5 a.m. on Monday so that I could just have like some time for myself, do whatever I want kind of deal over in San Francisco where it was held. Efforts build confidence. Oh, this is a psychology book. And it was a very good time. I ate at quite a few places. So the first day, the day 0, I got there a little early, and really just took in the environment, met a few people, thought about going to like day one, day zero events. Reverse this one. Boom. And it was a very interesting time. I know I normally solo travel anyway, so I wasn't too taken back by stuff, but I loved reading. There were so many people who was like their first time solo traveling, their first time at cons, stuff like that, and it was just so cool. But yeah, so the first day, I ate lunch right after checking in the hotel. So first off, I had an early check-in around noon. Yeah, around noon. Which I was surprised that they had anything available for early check-in, which was good. Interracial social dynamics, sociology. Ultimate guide of other words, swear words, chanting methods. So early check-in, but they messed up. They gave me a room number, and then there was already civil liability within adventure. It's here. Shadow Mages is here. They gave me a room that had people still like staying in. So once that all got cleared out, we were able to get about like 2 to 3 tier of upgrades. I'm sure the person thought that they were giving me what would be really nice because it's a lot of tier upgrades. I got like the second biggest room available at the hotel, or second biggest type of room, I guess. There's probably like 2 or 3 tiers bigger, but the sad part is that it was facing the outside, not the atrium, which I guess at a certain point doesn't really matter. But like, facing the con is kind of cool in and of itself, kind of thing. Mental. That's over here, right? Oh, that's not it. 10. So I got room upgrade. Then I went out for lunch. Then I discovered that there was a hangout for dinner. I did not do, because what happened was when I came back, I was talking to some people, and then just got a little distracted. Then when I looked at like how much it would cost to get there, I guess I just wasn't in the mood, because honestly, like $40 Uber, $80 round trip wouldn't be too bad for how much I spent overall on this trip. It's like closer to $5,000 overall, but it wouldn't have been too bad. But I just didn't want to go to a bar, and then, well, after I got dinner, I would have been late, but I didn't know how long people were gonna stay. Which apparently they stayed till like 2 a.m. So I really wish I was there, but I had like no way to gauge that. I have like no one around, and then I have to think about all that myself, kind of stuff. And then I didn't want to be at like a bar. Them end early. I spent $40 one way, and then another $40 back. I heard the food was really good though, so I'm a little jealous of that. Alright. Monster field note. But that was the Pippa karaoke event. And I think that was super cool, and I really wish I went over there. Magical supply chain management. And then there was a Anikura by Annie Clover. And then that night also, I didn't go to that, even though it looked like it was also very fun. I just ended up sleeping. I missed the BB 6 a.m. run also. I guess I just didn't think about how do you say it? I never realized my age more than this last weekend. where how I was just so tired a lot of the time. Magic Law. So there's that. Really, the weekend just kind of blended together. But honestly, it was super good. Because, like, I talked to, like, everyone and anyone who was in any kind of vicinity for me for, like, a significant amount of time. Not even, like, a significant amount of time. Like, an amount of time. Like, if we were stuck in the elevator with me, I'm striking up a conversation. If you're on a line with me, I'm striking up a conversation. And it was just so good. And it felt so easy to talk to everyone there because everyone at least had, like, some knowledge of the other talents that they're like. I'll be real, I'm probably one of the worst offenders, right, of as far as not knowing talents. Like, I only really knew Rie and the really big ones like Pippa, Tenma, Urtica. Like, they've been there since the beginning, right? I remember, like, the year they started, I wasn't an OG. I was like really into, you know, Hololive. I was getting really into Niji at the time. So Phasecon was under the radar for me. Dragon language management. And, well, honestly, I feel like they have a very strong presence in the cons. Like, if you didn't go to cons, it was hard to get into them as a group. And that was mostly, like, off-kai, I guess, right? Which, I didn't go to off-kai till last year. So, at least that's how I felt. Once again, I was into... Oh, wait. I want to put these other books in first. I was into, like, other groups at the time, so that's, like, the biggest reason why I wasn't in the train, even though I did watch, like, Pippa clips. So many Pippa clips. And it's mostly because, like, Pippa just feels like one of my regular friends. You know, that's how, like, I feel about Pippa. She's just one of the homies. Like, that's a person that I could chill with, like, anytime, any day. I really didn't know they were doing all of this, like, concert stuff and all that stuff, and that's kind of what I wanted more out of my VTubing groups. That's why I was a big Hololive, right? Why I like some of my Niji. I will say that after I've now been a bit more involved, I like Niji Sanji. No, I like Phaseconnect's music more than Niji Sanji. And, like, sure, I'm almost certain Niji Sanji got way more, like, Utaite involved, and honestly, probably, like, the singing overall is much stronger on Niji Sanji. That doesn't mean that Phase is bad. And they really proved that to me, especially with these with the concerts I went to, and they were so enjoyable. I think is the biggest thing. Like, I want to say they're so good. They're definitely not bad. And on the scale of VTuber, they're decently good, and they're way better than me. So don't get me wrong here, right? They're way better than me. I can never pull off anything those girls are doing. But, you know, if we're gonna compare, it is on the weaker side, honestly. But that doesn't mean they're not good. They are very fun to watch and very enjoyable. And I think, like, that part of that is like the bigger thing for me is like Phase, low mana form of discrimination, is a company that's, I'd say, more transparent than a lot of the contemporaries in the space. And because they're so transparent and their girls are very open, it's very much not idol-like, which could be a weakness, could be a strength, depending on who you ask. I know there are people who liked Vsojo because they were not like that. They were more raunchy, I guess. I don't know, man. Vsojo was, how do you say, it was like formed like a top talent club, right? And none of those talents needed to be there. And I'm not saying that the girls in Phase Connect can't do it on their own, but probably it would have been harder for a lot of them. I think they're, you know, if they drop out now with a fan base, they'll be fine, but like it's just like pure by the numbers. Some people think of it, they're big and whatnot, but like I'm sure they're not making all that much. So Saturday was super fun, was super jam-packed for me, mostly because it's like Rie had a lot of events going on. She was in the sing-along, she was in the main concert, she was in a panel. She had her karaoke in the morning, so that was like a big thing. Hime, since she had a karaoke in the morning, and on the second day she had the Alias panel, there's no way I was gonna be anywhere significantly in the line for merchandise. So I kind of gave up on the merch line right away because of when Hime's stuff lined up, and I rather much watch Hime's stuff than be stuck in a merch line. I mean, eventually I was able to get almost all the merch I wanted. I can't really think of anything that I wanted that was like sold out, honestly. Mostly because I don't care for a lot of that kind of merch. I can't even think of what sold out, honestly. But I more or less got everything that I could have asked for. And I think that's pretty good. And relatively short. I did it in like a 2-hour break. Basically, it only took me like 2 hours to go through the line and get my stuff. So, you know, I will agree part of the merch line being a problem is because they were not as efficient. They were kind of slow getting it. I'll be real, they made a lot of mistakes too, but I think they did their best. And I mean, there's a lot of items on the catalog, so I understand there being a little bit of a problem. I would say, like, I don't know, some ideas, right? Pre-order merch, who knows? I remember just hearing the talents talk about right now, it's really hard for Sakana to decide to do that because they don't know what's going to come in. And I don't know if that is a product of, like, the current climate of logistics, you know, with tariffs and stuff like that, or if that is a normal affair. I've never been involved with supplying conventions with the stock, so I don't know. Um, is this it? And then number one of this one. Cool. Then we'll grab 10 more here. But so, a lot of pre-orders, maybe not the best of ideas, right? But I think somewhat pre-orders, if they do decide to do it this coming year, I feel like moving stock in further would be a better move also. And they have at least a better projection of work culture, of what they could expect now, because I think Urika said it, that they all thought it was just gonna crash and burn, and they actually blew their projections out of the water. And I think that's good, and I also think that they blew their projections out of the water, and they had like a wonderful convention, and I don't think they sold out general tickets. I don't think I know someone typed out like they sold out the hotel venue. The thing is that I don't think they grabbed that big of a hotel block. That's like the biggest thing I feel, because there are definitely a significant number of people who are not there for the con, right? So they could probably justify a larger hotel block is one improvement, and then if they could justify a larger hotel block, that could potentially be, wait, am I even allowed up here? Did I just like cheese that? If I cheesed that, that's pretty cool. Okay, sorry. But the problem, I feel, is that they can't grow too much larger, because there's already overcrowding and too many people as is for the event, for the venue size. So they would have to swap the venue, but I honestly think a big power was the venue. A big thing that made it, because it was very easy to go to a lot of events, especially if you stayed at the hotel. Boom. Almost done with that. Nice. So I personally think that's a big power of the event, was that it's still a hotel con. Like, hotel cons are small, and like weirdly enough, they're too big. If there were two very close hotels, I feel like if they also got that the Crown Plaza that's like right across, I think. But I feel like there's no like safe walk to that, unless they had like a routine shuttle also, but then it becomes a little hectic still. So I don't think that's like the greatest solution. The greatest solution to me, out of the like two ways to expand, would be like moving like Off-Kai did to just an overall convention center, bigger venue. I don't know if you want to be in the Off-Kai like venue. Off-Kai definitely could use more space, right, that they have there. The convention center definitely has more available space for them to use if need be. Where is this one? Oh, am I blind? Oh, it's right here. So, They could do a bigger venue. They could do 2 hotels. MTAC does 2 hotels. There's like some other ones that I've been to that are very similar, and they decided to do that as how they spread. And then MTAC has a shuttle between them. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that one. I guess I just never been to too many medium-sized events, I guess, at this point. I've either gone to large ones or just hotel party cons. I guess Anime BluesCon is roughly a medium. Not really. I honestly feel like it's small, but it takes place in our convention center, so. But we honestly don't use a lot of it when I think about it, right? We only use like the top floor plus some. Yeah, I mean, you also have like MomoCon. MomoCon only uses one wing of that convention center. So like it could definitely expand, but like, is it worth the investment to expand kind of thing? I don't know. Only Sakuna knows the number. Well, not only Sakuna, but only Phase knows the numbers. But if you were to ask me like how I really felt about the numbers, I think they operated at the frick? Oh, this is 5. I thought that was a 3. My bad. I think that they didn't profit. I feel like, I feel like they didn't skip out on certain amenities that a more profit-oriented like plan would have skipped. So I don't think they operated. I feel like the day-to-day operational costs were higher than actually some other events, and that directly translated into a better experience for the attendees though. So I'm not gonna knock them for doing that because I love it. And I feel like if you're, like you kind of don't go to a lot of these events, it's kind of hard to notice these like kind of small things. So let's take, it could be at Vev, and I think, having the hotel staff, I think is top notch. Just how often they did things like refill water, okay? I've been to so many of these like party cons or stuff like that where the normal amenities are absolutely atrocious. They kept the bathrooms relatively clean. I went to the public ones. Of course, most people have their own hotel one, but there's a lot of times where I've been to these party cons and those bathrooms get trashed, bro. Like absolute trash. It never gets cleaned. They refilled the water very well. Obvious security. If that's Hyatt Regency, Hyatt just holds themselves at a better standards than some of these other places, I guess. If that's thanks to ConOps a little bit, then good for them also. The restaurant was very accommodating. The fact that there was a restaurant with a market is very useful too, with a food market, because there are definitely some hotels where the restaurant's kind of meh, kind of scared, or they don't have those kind of conveniences depending on what kind of hotel that was booked, right? Cursed workplace in a magicless world. Boom. Tears of beasts. So, and I feel like that directly also translates to cost of the venue. So the next thing is they use the whole venue, man. There are a few rooms could be argued that they still didn't use, mostly around the meet and greet space. I don't know how they separated the rooms because I didn't go to a meet and greet, but they used all the ballrooms available. And I feel like the two biggest things they need to do is have a bigger second stage. And I, for one, did not experience a problem because I was a community pass. But I didn't know if people couldn't get to the main stage. So the biggest problem you're going to have at such a focused event like Phasecon is that the main event space is almost the main thing. Like, everyone's there to see, like, the main things. So there's only one main event thing that I missed. And then, so what you need to do is you either spread it, right? Or you bring them more into the main event space. So what they did when they moved the Phase Origin panel, which is like the only panel happening before Bon Voyage, which is the closing concert. They moved it to the main stage because nothing was happening at the main stage between Origin concert and Bon Voyage. So I think that was a very good decision. Because the second stage was very small. It's like a singular ballroom size. You know, something for like a corporate dinette or something, right? Like I couldn't even fit my team into that ballroom for a corporate meeting. Like, right? Like, it's like, I don't know, 100-person max looking? Not even 100, honestly. But I'll give them generous. It's probably like 100, maybe? $125, maybe? So, you know, they could, they don't have a lot of way to expand further from where they're at. And I think that's like the saddest part. I, for one, think that they could differentiate themselves a bit further by changing the overall venue location, but I think I don't know the venues, but I think we could find something like really good. Maybe place it in a different part of the world, but at the same time, it's like, it's a very hit or miss. But from what I experience, especially if you don't hold it every year, that's the question. Are you going to hold this every year? I won't suggest every 5 years, but the fact that you're able to, I'll be real, the fact that you're able to hold Phasecon and be successful right now, I think honestly says a lot more. I don't really know the demographic too well of where the overlaps is, but you're talking about happening during FIFA World Cup, which is every 4 years, right? During FIFA World Cup, right? You're still able to attract this big of an audience. I don't know, man. If you ask me, like, there's probably a significant overlap. Well, maybe not like significant, but there's definitely an overlap of some people who probably chose the World Cup than going to Phasecon. I think that's a not I believe that's a non-zero number. And then, on top of that, it's a year that the Olympics are also happening. Or, well, we're setting up for the Olympics. Right? Which I'm also sure that that's going to be a significant trip for some people. So they're going to be spending a lot of money. They can't be spending it on Phasecon. I also think the people who decided that they're saving up for the Olympics is also a non-zero number. Is that significant? Maybe, maybe not. I'm just saying that they got the turnout they did, even though there's all these other, like, significantly non-annual events happening, right? Like, the World Cup happening in my country, in your country, is like almost a lifetime event. Not really. It's like 20 to 30-ish years, but basically, depending on when you live, you're either doing it when you're young, and then when again you're old, or when you're middle-aged, and then probably when you're dead. Right? Now, you'll probably make money and be able to go to a one not in your country. But, you know, that's just how some of that is. 10. Alright, I'll grab some from here. Drawing. One night's guess. Sears. Summoning. This. So let's talk about, so that's like where I'm thinking is like, it's hard to expand. You can't expand at that venue. They already maxed that venue out. So if they did something like grabbed a bigger hotel block, the best that's going to happen is that more people could stay at the venue. But the lines already got either, I won't say they were bad, and I'm shout out to the staff for actually checking on the lines, organizing the lines, making sure lines are formed appropriately. And shout out to the fans for not being absolute buttholes about some stuff, right? Like, because compared to some conventions that I went to, things didn't go out of hand. Now, I understand that some of these other conventions have like some sort of monetizative other factors, but you know, I don't think Phasecon's like that, even though there was one report of somebody getting their stuff stolen, at least 2 that I read. So that's kind of sad. Sadly, it's a convention, right? Like, I'm not a fool here. A lot of stuff gets stolen at cons. You know, that's just a day in the happening, and worse yet if it's a con that has exclusive or rare merchandise that can be resold at a premium. Ooh. But yeah, so I don't think Phasecon could expand unless they change venues, which I don't know the available venues in the area. And I don't know if they even want to be in that area. I was very confident of them being in that atrium, more from familiarity. Mostly because they were a major sponsor for Offkai that was held in that atrium, right? which you hear, well, I heard a ton of stories all the time about, oh, when it was held here, oh, I missed the atrium, oh, I missed this. I'm not too involved with those things, but I know that it's a more familiar setting for kind of like their core demographic audience, honestly. And even though they are not the, oh wait, I want to do 10 more of these. Even though they may not be the like main store, during Offkai, they still would have a better understanding of that venue and how to hold out that venue. So I think that's like one of the bigger reasons why it's held there. Now that they have more numbers, they could take bigger risks. Because honestly, from the reception, right, it's honestly only gonna go up, right? There's gonna be more people who are gonna put that on their list of, this is the trip I want to go to. Especially someone like me, who had an absolute banger time, right? Like, I had such a great time. It was one of the best feeling conventions I've been to in a long time. Like, sure, Anime Expo exists and all this stuff. The thing you need to think about these kind of cons versus that is the purpose, kind of, quote unquote, the purpose of the con. Because as much as Anime Expo is a anime expo, it's an anime expo. Okay, so like, what's the difference here? What am I trying to explain to you, right? There are anime cons where people are just celebrating their love for anime, which end up being more like a party con and stuff like that. They don't bring in significant guests. The events are mostly all just gaming or something, right? What is this? Summoning Grimoire. Right. Sadly, it's like the difference between like a gaming convention, versus like a gaming tournament, right? Like, there are people who are competing there in a gaming tournament. They're there to like celebrate the gaming. But a gaming show is new releases, industry stuff. Like, you don't go to Zima and not have a car shop kind of thing. Right? Like Zima's not a right? Like, you don't go to not South by Southwest, even though that is something. Like, you don't go to CES and not be a like tech reviewer, tech enthusiast. You don't go there to hang out with other techies, right? Like, you're not going there to hang out with the other tech people. You would go to something more like, I don't know, like DEF CON. This is something that has panels about advancing the industry. So, because like Anime Expo, as much as that's fun, it's a place for the very big names to advertise their next product. It is like a product showcase convention, which is cool. There's gonna be people there who love all sorts of anime, but you're not gonna be there to hang out. There's hangout stuff to do, and that's like a big thing, because these are already bringing a lot of people. There's already other events on the side, like these concerts that I go to or whatever, and that's where you get to hang out and stuff, and where magical community happens. But at the actual cons themselves, how do you say it? The people talk about there being more cynical about conventions, right? And that's like a part of it. Like, these things get bigger, and they need. It depends on how are they going to sustain it, and I don't know the direction that Phase wants to go, but the fact that it is their own convention, let's start off with they need to grow it more if they want to be in a bigger venue. And I think they can. I just don't know how much bigger they could support. And I don't really know the middle ground between where they're at and something like where Offkai is at the moment. And I'm not saying that Offkai is doing better, even though obviously if you're on your 5th year of doing something, you have a better standing. And part of that is you see the price of Offkai is significantly more. Maybe not the singular regular venue tickets, but they have more whale tiers. So they're able to get more out of the people that do want to pay more. Magical detective law? And that might rub some people the wrong way. That's an industry. At this point, Offkai is also like an industry level panel. This is where semi-big names or semi-big VTubers get to showcase stuff to a wider audience while also attracting other audience. This is why stuff like the Hina Hina World Tour is gonna be there, and so forth, so on. Phase does a little bit of that during their con, but it's only directed for their fans, which is good. But is their whole thing worth, how do you say it? Is the whole thing worth it over just being a sponsor at like Road to Offkai, right? Road to Phasecon, right? They had a significant presence in like 4 other places. Now, I forgot how significant a presence it was, because I didn't really participate in any of the Road to Phasecon conventions. But if they could do something like that, why not keep it there? And why hold your own, right? Well, labor of love is like the biggest thing of why you're holding your own, I feel. And a big portion of what could help like sustain what you're doing or what they plan on doing is the love, right? Like I said, I don't know the numbers, and you could simply just eat the loss for the love. Most cons are ran by non-profits, right? Like that's a big thing, right? Like AX and all this stuff are run for maybe not non-profits. I have to double check if they're like a 502b or whatever, which I don't think a lot are. Licensing and magic regulations. But they're definitely not for-profit companies. A lot of them. A lot of conventions are ran by not-for-profit companies. Even if that's like a shell company. Right? Like, I'm just saying that they could be other reasons why they are there, right? The genesis of magic. Use magic arrows. Like I said, they could be like a shell corporation or something. I'm not sure. There's definitely a lot of options. Okay, there's a lot of options of why a company is actually like not a profit company but holding a convention. I'll be right back. So on like off Kai, um, and why I honestly think that I'm on a side that is more interested in something like off Kai. Okay, and there's like a fine line in there between, because at the goal, what I feel of off Kai right now and how I felt about it then, that's the convention for VTubers. It's like, you know how I'm going to my professional convention. It's for pharmacists, for physical therapists. I've been to both. For doctors. There's panels for them to learn more advanced or new things happening in the industry for their work. So the panels, how I believe, because if you look at the programming for a ton of Offkai, it's how to do this as a VTuber, is what to do as a VTuber. So it's much less about VTuber fans than it is to attract other VTubers to hang out, which attracts their fans, which is not something that would happen at, like, let's say my professional meetup when I'm presenting, I don't know, like ribonucleic acid somethings, right? Like, you know, that's a different environment. The Bard's Book of Spells. Huh. Is this not in? Oh, it's right here. Right, that's a different setting. But that is what I think like Offkai is more about. And it just so happens that attracts them. There's others who are putting on performances, and that attracts still more fans. But I do not believe that is a convention for VTuber fans anymore. Like, weirdly enough, like, if you don't care about industry panels, so sure, there's world premieres. This is more like a film, right? Like, Anime Expo is like trying to be like part film festival, part hangout convention, part music festival, and it all revolves around the general discourse of anime. And because anime is a medium and not like a certain specific topic, that's why such a big convention kind of forms like that. And like, I feel like there's like a natural fragmentation that will happen or should have happened. It's just one of those things. But the hard part is getting all those people still to be, right, like, in a separate sphere. There's not enough to really support that kind of stuff. That's why you see like E3 close down, all this stuff. A lot of the fighting game tournaments close down. At a certain point, they all have to consolidate, and AX is the winner of eating this kind of affair up. But yeah, it's like a little bit film festival, it's a little bit music festival, right? Like EDC, all the electronic music gets eaten into one of these giant raves like EDC. And then it's kind of like Coachella. What is Coachella Music Festival? Coachella is where they really bring out the big guns. I'm sorry to places like EDC, Lollapalooza, all this stuff. Coachella is where the record and music industry pours way more into. And those are all very much bigger businesses than whatever's happening at a lot of these other conventions. Anime Expo can only be so big because they do attract the biggest of anime and gaming studios. So this is where they announce big stuff to get traction for their next work. And that's really the biggest funding for those kind of events. Now, after saying that, Phasecon's not the spot for that. Phasecon is a celebration of Phase. So getting these kind of fundings will inevitably change what is Phasecon, just like how these people are griping about how Offkai has changed. Because I'm sure the biggest gripers of Offkai, when I think about it, are people who are fans but don't VTube themselves. And how I see Offkai, that's just the audience is other VTubers. So what do I think about Phasecon more do better? Okay, so merch line, what I would like to see, honestly, is I would like it if they separated the Phasecon booth. Like, I just find it really interesting that Phase needs their own booth at their own convention. They could literally, which would hurt people who want multiple things, right? Like, because one of the best things about a singular Phase booth is you buy it all there. So when you're like a shopper and you want to buy everything, you can buy it all at once. But they could literally split up however they want. It's their freaking convention. Sure, there's spacing issues, but they could split up their store and even do something like sell per talent or sell per gen in a different shop, in a different location. Once again, like the biggest reason why it's probably not that is just the logistics of space, because I didn't realize it when there, mostly because I didn't go into the rest area. But they used the entire venue. And we didn't really fill the entire venue. Like, sure, there are parts that were very overcrowded and stuff like that. And that's just because of what people want to do. But we're not as packed as the really packed conventions get. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there was space. Like, if you wanted breathing room, you could find breathing room. Even like just sitting out near the lines existed. Like AX is way more crowded, right? 100%. AX has a ton more space and way more crowded. I mean, it has a way bigger audience and has a lot more generalization, as we talked about. But I'm just saying, is like the spacing is not something that they have. So they need a bigger venue if they want to do more stuff. If they want to do the same level of stuff better, I think the biggest issue we're going to have is the fact that I truly believe that there's just going to be way more people next year. Or there's going to be more people who want to go. It doesn't necessarily mean way more people. There's going to be more people that want to go, and it's more important than ever to limit ticket sales. So the best solution is to limit ticket sales and increase the price if you want to have a better experience in the same spacing. I do not think that they will be able to have a better experience in that space if they allow more people. It's going to be a worse experience because the lines were very tolerable, but only by so much. Like, they would... I'm almost certain they would, like, not collapse, but be in a very tough bind if they were to do What is this? Monster Hunting Law? Oh, I think this is a law book. Like, they would have some problems if they were to do it any other method. That's all I'm saying. Theory of chanting. And I feel like if they just try to increase the volume of people, so like I said, they have the ability to, for certain, have a larger hotel block, which will allow them to house more people in the same venue. But I'm not 100% sure how profitable hotel blocks are. So I don't think that's a direct correlation. So the other option, okay? The other option, like let's say they took the 9th floor and they got that snack bar, is to do more rooms for other events. So the rooms that they used for the meet and greets, they take the 3rd floor big rooms. There's like 2 to 4 of them, somewhere there. And they turn those into that and then hold other panels in those meet and greet rooms. Because one of the bigger things that they had is they have a lot of talents that they try to give a lot of time. They try to give their own time to. The sad truth is that you can't let. You would want every talent to have their own meet and greet, but every talent's also part of a group, right? Who you also gave their own panels. What is this? So that's the hard part, was that you tried to cram all that plus 3 concerts into 2 days. So one question is, how many more talents are you gonna hire? Right? How many more talents do you plan on having? Because the more talents you have, the harder the logistics of your convention go. That's just the profound truth. Because of how you have it kind of structured, or what I believe we want it structured. Like, you want every talent to have a meet and greet time, which a lot of people complain that it's only 1 minute. The problem is that how many tickets you give. Like, it was an hour and a half block. If they're 1 minute, that's like 60 people, right? Like, woof. You just made your talent do 1 hour of meet and greet, right? You want to double that? Now it's 2 hours for the same amount of people. Or you could double the tickets. Or you could increase the ticket price. Right? These are the things. Evolution, history, and magic. And the stuff that they have to decide what they want. Because it's more of a judgment call on them. And then, you know, the people just kind of deal with it. So, merch line. Pre-orders was a cool thought. Once again, logistics. They don't know what's going to come in, and then that'll be a big problem if they already took money for the pre-orders. Or worse yet, if they don't take money beforehand for pre-orders, people make pre-orders that they end up not buying, then they have overstock. So both solutions suck. Right? Someone was like, I forgot which talent. Sheena, maybe? Oh no, I think it was Irie. It's like, you didn't see anyone with a Dizzy puppet. Well, they were stuck in customs. Same with like the Rie one and stuff like that, right? It's not that they sold out, it's that they didn't come in. Now, once again, I don't know all those numbers, but if you think about a significant portion just didn't come in, like, what the heck, right? Like, a significant portion just didn't come inside. Like, that's actually honestly just bad. Boom. And arguably no fault of their own. I don't know, man. I don't know how long they tried production into shipping it. They live, they learn. They can make corrections. I just think a lot of people don't think too much about how long these kind of things take, right? And I don't think they've had to do it before, but if people think that these things are like drop of a hat fast, then I don't know what you guys do for work. You know? Like, some of my logistics plans here are like years in advance kind of thing, right? Like, we put the budget 1 year, we put the material cost plan the next year, and then execute over the next like 2 to 3. Like, you know, a lot of these things are not 5 to 6 months in advance, right? A lot of them are like a year-ish in advance, which, once again, they have the numbers now. They have a lot of experience now with what might be going on, and there might be a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of hopes for it, especially since they did, right? In this con alone, they did significantly better as the con went on into trying to minimize the gripes, and all the staff worked very hard, and it's like very interesting to me how hard that staff worked. I don't know where you get volunteers like that. Those people worked harder than people get paid. Who get paid is how I felt. And people who get paid have an incentive to make sure that they're doing a good job because they're getting paid. The love that those volunteers at this event poured out directly correlated in line with the amount of satisfaction that the participants were experiencing, and for the most part, a lot of the smoothness of the event. Alright, I think I guess I talked more about my thoughts about convention logistics, but I always wanted to try to run my own convention, but when I look at all the like costs, I'll be real. The thought is cool, but when I think about the people who are actually participating and how I've interacted with them, it's not. I don't have the love. I don't have the same amount of love for some of these people, or whatever product they're going through. Like, I don't have the same love and patience that a lot of these people got. That's for sure. There are no more keys on here, man. There's supposed to be like 4 keys, right? That's so funny. There's supposed to be like 4 keys. Now that I think about it, who said that they had to be on like a surface, right? I bet these keys are in like some really weird spots now that I think about it. Because I already cleared out like every surface. Does this... It's hard to even get the books on there. So I really doubt it would be there. Right, like, next thing you know, it's like behind some of these banners or something. Right, that's what I'm saying, right? Alright, let's open this one. And see what kind of awesome stuff we could get. Notice the permission to high jump in an emergency. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, there's another key right there, ain't it? No. Yeah. That's what I thought. Oh my god. Is that one? Wow. You just like open your brain to a different possibility and you find more. What is this? A magic book that increases your maximum book capacity by +2. Big. Big. The other one has to be around here, man. We'll find that last one. Bruh. Wait, can I get to the second floor, like, immediately from with this? Oh, shoot. Oh, you can. Oh, my gosh. And you could cross the stairwell if you get it right, I guess. My goodness. This would have been so much more efficient. Sorry, guys, that you had to watch me suffer because I didn't go and look for keys. Oh, my God. Alright, but that'll be it for today. Oh, and sorry, Vanilla, I missed the fact that you're going to breakfast. I was just yapping. Have a good day at work. Hope you have a good time. Just all like industry talk and monies. But that's the stuff that's interesting to me. I feel like the gaming room could have been a bit bigger. I don't know, but hopefully they come up with something. I'm very interested to see where they're gonna lead. I feel like it's just gonna have to be more costs, but well, more costs to the consumer. But we'll see. All right, thank you for coming. Hope you have a happy day, happy night, wherever you are.